Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel Public White Geek. This is Sanam and today we are gonna learn about CoreData. I've been getting a lot of requests on Twitter and Instagram, direct messages. People are asking me to record a video on CoreData. So today we're gonna see the CRUD operation, that is how we are gonna create some data inside CoreData, update it, delete it, and retrieve the data. So let's get started. Right, so let's open up Xcode and we'll select single view application. And over here we can select the product name to maybe, let's create a to-do list sort of app, right? So let's say to-do task, to-do task or to-do tasking. So not a good name, but it's okay. All right, and make sure that we select core data. So we are going to use core data in this particular project. And I'm gonna save it right on the desktop, and yeah, let's create a git repo as well. And then we are inside the project now. Right, so in order to use core data, it's not very difficult actually. I don't know why people think that core data is difficult. It's not at all difficult, and we're gonna see how easy it is. So just to give you some brief intro that how core data works is, you can see this to do underscore tasky, which is the project name dot xc data model d, which is a file, sort of a database file wherein we're gonna create some entities. Think of entities more of like a class. So how we, when we work on MVC project, right, model view controller, model is where we are structuring the data. So this entity is gonna act like the class, and then the attributes inside the entity is gonna be the attributes of the classes, right? I know it's becoming a little bit complex, but it's not. Uh, so let's just head over to main.storyboard and let's quickly design our app. And it's not gonna be very beautiful design. It's just a simple design. All we wanna see is how the core data works, right? So since it's a to-do list, so what we're going to do is, in the first view controller or the main view controller, we will have a table view where we can see all the uh, tasks, and there will be another view controller where we will be creating the new task, right? So in this one, let's just go to object library. Let me just increase the size of this one. This seems okay. Yeah. So alright, so let's go to object library, and my object library is opening somewhere else. Right, so right over here, let's say table view. So our table view is here, and I'm just gonna stretch it to the edges for now, and let's do 0, 0, 0, 0, and let's also embed the navigation controller, because we are gonna use a second view controller. So let's do that as well. And go back to object library and add a view controller here. Alright, so in this one, the navigation, let's add a title. Let's call task, to do task, so tasky. Let's call it tasky, and we're gonna add a button over here. So let's call it button, bar item button. So this will be the one, hitting this button will take us to this second view controller where we're gonna add our task, right? And this one, we can just go and click on add. So we have the add button, and from add button we can do a segue directly to this one. Right, so this one also got embedded in the navigation controller, and we got the back button as well. So let's just try to run it and just make sure that everything is working as of now as uh, we expect it to work. Right. So we can see we have task key, and if we do this and do this, so everything, if we click on it, you can see there was a table view with some lines over there. So that's what we need. And so let's go back to this one and let's create a new group and let's call it controller, and again a new group with model, sorry, view. We don't need model this time because the model part will be handled by this to do task, this XC data model D file. So let's just move controller over here, and let's also create a new, yeah, let's create a new controller file as well for our second view controller. So add, or let's say task uh, view, task VC is okay. UI view controller, next, create, added. Let's go back to our main.storyboard, task VC. Right, and now inside the table view, we'll add one prototype cell. Just some basic designing work right now. We have already worked with table view. You can check out my other videos. Uh, I have a video specifically for table views, so you can check that out. So in this table view, we're gonna add uh, just a label, and let's do it 12, 12, minus 12, and minus 12. Seems like we should not have done minus, but let's try it. Yeah, it should be like this. This is okay. So let's do left align and 0 lines. Well, we give this one also some space. So we have this label. The whole idea is that the task will be displayed inside this label, and the task will be added from this second view controller, right? So in this view, let's create a new file and let's call it the UI table view cell, and table view cell is fine for now. And let's create that, and let's go back, and let's go here, table view cell. Let's set it to table. So we are setting the cell class to table view cell that we just created, and this should be enough uh, in order to start playing out with our table view. So let's do that first. Let's go to view controller. One more thing, we do need to define the cell ID. So let's do that as well. So we'll call it cell ID and copy this. Go back to view controller and let's do outlets, variables, and constants. So this one is going to be let cell ID is equal to this one, so that we don't mix up the string. Raw string should not be used. All right. So inside this view controller, let's create a new extension for our table view. It just makes it a bit cleaner. You can do it within this section as well. I mean, after this view did load or before view did load, but I prefer like this. So UI table view data source and UI table view delegate. This is what we need, and we need assistant editor. So option key or alt key, and then press. Oh, sorry, not AppDelegate, but the main.storyboard, and let's create an outlet of table view by hitting control and then drag and drop the table view to our view controller file. So I'm just gonna call it PV for table view, and right over here. So we can do like this. And let's create a function called delegates. So this function will call all our delegates. We can do this in Vue.load. I'm just making it more functional oriented programming, I would say, much cleaner basically. So we're going to do tv.delegate is equal to self, and tv.data source is equal to self, and then we're going to call delegates in Vue.load. And now we have error that we don't have protocols. We are not subscribed to the protocols, and now we are subscribing to them. So basically we have these two functions, basic functions, that we need in order to use the table view, and pretty simple functions. I guess most of you already know, and if you don't know, please go back and check my video on table views, and you will learn about the table view, uh, these functions and these protocols, delegate functions, right? So number of rows in section, I'm just going to return one for now, or let's return two for now. And for cell for row act, let's create a cell. Let cell is equal to tableview.dequeue reusable cell with identifier, and identifier is going to be cell ID that we just created over here. So this is the same one that we are putting here, and index path we are going to get it from here. So index path as the name is table view cell, right? Table view cell. So this is the name of the file, and then we can say, uh, right, we don't even have the uh, outlets or the labels or anything over here. So let's go back and fix this also. Let's complete this design as well. Right, in this one we'll do let's do a text field, text view. Let's just put a text view over here, and like this much is okay. And let's do 16, 16, and maybe 32, and height we can keep it to 150. And for the background, let's not keep it white, because this is also white and this one is also gonna be white. So let's do that to maybe something else, so custom, and we can probably set it to silver. Yeah, this one is okay, Mercury. Right. Uh, I think it should work, but still. Okay. Let's just delete everything from here, and you can see some little color difference, which is fine. And let's add a button over here. So this is a save button that we will use. So let's call it save, and horizontally, vertically in container. Let's increase the size as well. Alright, so we have the button as well, and let's go back to our hitting Alt or Option key, and then click on Table View Cell. And right over here, we'll also create outlets, variables, and constants. Right, and then let's not this one, but this one. Let's, oh shit. And the outlet is not getting created. Why is that so? Oh, because I think we did something wrong. So yeah, this table view cell. Sorry, what am I doing? Ah, sorry, my bad, guys. So this is the one that we need to do, and the file should not be table view cell. It should be actually the controller task VC. And right over here, we'll do outlets, variables, and constants. So let's just try to complete the UI part first, and then we'll go back and see what we missed, right? So this is the task we see, and from here we'll put the outlet over here, and we'll call it task field, uh, text field, right? So task TV, and for button, I'm just gonna drag and drop here with action, uh, save button press. Right, so button is there, this is there. Now let's go back to view, table view cell, and now right over here this label, we're gonna drag and drop in outlets, and let's call it uh, task label, task LVL. Right, so we have task LVL now available with us. Okay, should be working now. Right, so we were right over here, which is the cell. So let's try to do this. Cell dot task label dot text. You can set the text right over here, and I'm just gonna say uh, hello, hello, right, and return cell, and we're gonna return the cell. So let's just try to run and see if we have hello being displayed twice, because number of rows in section is 2, right? So there we go. So we have hello twice coming up. Now what we need is to actually use the core data. And if you have gone through AppDelegate, when you enable core data, you can see that AppDelegate first of all has import core data framework. So they have imported it, and then they have a lot of things going on right over here, where they have container, they have save context. So like a lot of things are going on in the AppDelegate. We are not going to use any of this or most of it, so we are directly going to create a instance of AppDelegate and we'll use that, right? So let's go back to ViewController.swift, and what we want to do is let's just open the app right over here. So what we want to do is pressing this, right? So this one is also working. So after we click save button, we need to do two things. First one is to save whatever we are typing in here inside our core data, and second thing is to dismiss this view controller, right? So let's go back to our Xcode and go to do task key XC model D, and we're gonna create a new entity. So right over here it says add entity, and I'm gonna call it task. And inside this, so task, think of it like a class. So I have created a class called task, and inside it I'm gonna have a variable or attribute or the property of the class, and it's called it's gonna be called task description. So this is the task description or the actual task text, which is gonna be of type string, and then there's another one which is task status, and this is gonna be bool. So what I'm gonna do is task description is where we're gonna hold the actual task coming, the text coming from that second view controller, and in task status we are gonna uh, check if the task is completed or not, and accordingly we will update our table view as well. So these two things should be enough, and let's go to task PC, and let's try to add some tasks first, because there is no point of fetching it when we don't have any data inside it, right? So let's go to this one, and let's try to add some tasks. So first thing we need to do is import core data, and now check guys, it's gonna be very easy, very easy. So import core data and then build the project, right? And all we gonna need is we need to create a function first, right? So let's do func, and let's call it save task. Now what we want to do is first thing we need to create a shared instance of our AppDelegate, as I said earlier. So let's go back to view controller, and we can directly create it in the view controller itself, right outside the class, so that it's globally accessible within your project, right, with any file. So if we create it in this view controller, we should be able to access it in the task VC as well, right? So I'm just going to create it right over here, and I'm going to call it global variables and constants, right? So let's say let app delegate UI application dot share dot delegate as app delegate. Right, so this is the line that we needed mainly so that we can access those saved instances and context which are created in the app delegate right over here. So you can see we have some context over here, and we have the container, again the persistent container. So all these are a few things that we need to access. So uh, we can create this shared instance of that app delegate and then use it wherever we want in the project, so that we have one instance of that app delegate, right? So let's start with the save task function, and let's hook it up to our core data, right? So let's do a task. Let's create a task constant, and as soon as we type task, you can see this task is available, which is the task that we created, the entity that we created here. So it is available to us now, and when we try to create this task and we open a bracket or parentheses, um, it's asking for ns manage object context, right? So let's create that, and this is where our app delegate shared instance will come into the picture. So let's do guard let managed context, and the context we are going to get from app delegate, not the big one but the small one, app delegate dot persistent container dot, my period key is not working properly, sorry guys, persistent container dot view context, right? Else we are going to return. So if we are able to access it and we are able to set it to manage context, good enough. Not, then we are going to return it so that our app doesn't crash. And inside the context, we can just say managed context. Right. So we have our managed context. So now it is able to communicate to the core data services in the device or inside our app. So let's do task description. This is what we need. And since it's gonna ask for text, string, so we can directly do task tv dot text. So task tv dot text, and then so we are, whatever is inside that text box or text view is gonna be inside. We're gonna pass it to text task description, and then we created another one which is task status, which I'm gonna set by default to false, because when we are creating, it's not gonna be completed, right? It's gonna be in incomplete status. That's why we are creating it, and then from the table view we are gonna mark it complete or incompleted, right? So false means it's incompleted, and true will mean that the task is completed. So task status false means incompleted. This is the logic that we are following right now. This is pretty much it in terms of saving data inside CoreData, except for one thing: we need to save that data. So right now we have set the data that this data is going to be equal to this. This data is actually going to be equal to this. CoreData says okay, our app says okay, but we also need to tell to CoreData to save this data as well inside. So we are just assigning it right now. We are not saving it. So we need to save it, the persistent data, so that when your app closes and you open it again, it is stored somewhere within the CoreData database, right? So we are going to do that now. So it's very simple. All we need to do is manage context dot save, and if you see over here it says throws, so that means we need to use a do try catch. So do, and then we're gonna catch the error, and inside do we will try this. So try this, we're gonna try this. If it works, let's say print data saved, and if it did not save, if there was error, we can say failed to save data. and we can print error dot localized description, and then we can also call this save task right over here. Right, so let's try to run this. This should be enough to save the data, but there are a couple of things that we need to fix or we need to solve right now. So let's try to add something. This is our first task, and let's save. So you can see right over here it says data saved. That means it was successfully stored inside our CoreData database. And let's go to a device, and first thing we need is, if we click on the save button, we need to go back to the uh, table view, right? So let's do that. And we also need to do one more thing, which is, when we create this when we are saving this data, we need to know that when this data is saved, so that we can go back when it has been saved, or if there is error, we don't want to go back, we want to stay there, and we can ask the user to try again, right? So in order to do that, we can create a completion handler over here, which is actually very easy thing. Completion, and then we can say finished, which is going to be of type bool, and it will return nothing to us. And yeah, this should be enough. And we can say completion of true, and this one completion will be false, right? So now what is gonna happen, and it says, yeah, we need to create underscore, since it's a completion handler, right? So I'm gonna remove this, and we will call this again. So now what's gonna happen is, if the data is saved, this completion handler will be called true. So we are returning a value true, and we are returning a value false if it is not saved successfully, right? Now let's try to call this save function again, save task, and hit enter. So this bool, I'm gonna call it done. So if done, so basically if done is true, then we can say we need to return now, else try again. Let's try to run it and check. Task 2, save. So we need to return now. So this is the function that is being called after the data has been saved. So you can check, once the data was saved, then this line has been called, right? And this is what we needed. So after data has been saved, we can simply do um, navigation controller dot pop to view controller, set it to true, and then we can say dismiss self dot dismiss true, and completion will be nil. Done. So now we should be able to go back to the main view controller, our table view controller. Let's go here and say task 3, save, and done. So data was saved, we need to return now, and then we return to the main view controller as well, as you can see. Perfect, guys. So see how easy it is to save data inside CoreData. Alright guys, it's already more than 20 minutes of video. So we are gonna continue the same video part 2, where we are gonna fetch this data from CoreData to TableView, right? And we are gonna do some operations on TableView, like deletion and updation of these tasks that we are saving inside the CoreData, right? Alright guys, this is all for this part 1 video, and we are gonna look out for some more features and functionalities in this app, which is fetching this data from the CoreData and putting it into our table view, and then updating the values within our data and deleting some of the data. All of this is gonna coming, or will be coming, in part 2 video. So stay tuned, like this video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.